A continuación, quisiera hacer una breve reseña de lo que es el mercado europeo, información que ya compartió muy a detalle Juan Carlos. Van a ser unos slides repetitivos, pero para el beneficio tanto de nuestros panelistas como para las personas que recién hayan llegado, y poner el panel de discusión en el contexto adecuado. A ver, vemos que Europa ha tenido este crecimiento del 11%, un crecimiento menor al crecimiento de la industria de la palta peruana. Ya se mostró en la presentación anterior cómo se ha distribuido a otros mercados, pero Europa sigue creciendo y es todavía el principal mercado para la palta peruana. En cuanto a los países, el orden de los países en los que toma la palta peruana, vemos que Holanda y España son los principales. Esto se debe principalmente a un tema logístico, a los puertos de entrada. Esta palta luego se distribuye en el resto de los países de Europa, gran parte de ella. Entonces esto es la información oficial de aduanas, pero básicamente es por puerto de entrada, no necesariamente por consumo. Este cuadro, que también lo presentó Juan Carlos, es importante para que vean la importancia del grado de coordinación que estamos tratando de tener por la industria en PROHASS, para dar información de cómo vienen los mercados, la evolución de los mercados y poder corregir. Vemos que en la semana 26 hubo este bajón que fue en coordinación de muchos exportadores como respuesta a los precios que se veían viendo en Europa, que se veía en un mercado que estaba siendo sobreabastecido en un momento dado. Se pudo coordinar y eso tuvo algún impacto en una ligera mejora del precio. Por último, vemos la relevancia que tiene Perú durante su campaña en el mercado europeo. Lo que haga Perú impacta en el mercado de todas maneras. Somos el origen relevante en esas semanas, y cualquier movimiento a la baja o al alza de los volúmenes va a tener un impacto muy significativo en el mercado. No menos importante es la calidad con la que llegamos. Si Perú llega al inicio con una calidad no óptima, una fruta que puede no madurar o algo así, tiene un impacto en el resto de la campaña y la imagen del producto peruano. Somos demasiado relevantes en este mercado como para poder tener algunas fallas de calidad que puedan dañar toda la campaña. Con esto doy por terminada el contexto de lo que es el mercado europeo para dar paso a la discusión con nuestros panelistas. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias por estar acá ayudándonos en esta discusión, sobre todo para un mercado tan importante para la palta peruana como lo es Europa. Quisiera comenzar la discusión para que nos ilustren un poco acerca de la impresión que tienen ustedes, cuáles son los principales retos que ha tenido la palta de origen peruano en esta campaña 2022. Damas primero, no sé si Adriel podrías comentar cuáles para tu opinión son los principales retos que ha tenido la palta peruana.
Yeah, hello everybody. Perdón por mi inglés, pero eso es. We as Nature's Pride, and you've been introduced, what we have definitely seen, it has been extremely difficult to have the start of the season, where Chile, Spain and Israel were all into market. They have been into market with longer volumes, and also their qualities was a little bit up, so that it was a super difficult start for Peru to be there, because you came into an overflooded market with less quality. It was quite difficult to make that work. The season starts with smaller sizes, and because of these smaller sizes, it was quite a difference. Where in the run of the season, we saw, of course, more difficult big peaks on the bigger sizes. And the bigger sizes then dropped in prices again because there was a lot of smaller sizes available. I think in a general way, it has been, for the very first year in a very long time, a very difficult start. And of course, the war has been a part of that. We came in February into war, there was big volumes planned, everybody thought the season's going to be better later on, so January and February moved into later March, April, May, collided into the Peruvian season. Of course, not going to happen next year, as we the possibilities of seeing that everybody's a lot shorter in that period. Early season is always very, very much needed, but that's what we saw, collided into a more difficult pricing, very difficult season, and we don't have a very big growth in consumption, and we'll come back to that later.
Ahora, no sé si Juan Antonio, por el orden en que fueron presentados los panelistas, quisiera tener algún comentario acerca de los retos de la campaña peruana.
Todos. Bueno, nosotros creemos que la campaña se ha desarrollado con mucha dificultad. Como bien ha dicho Adriel, ha habido muchas circunstancias que han complicado la comercialización, pero yo he de decir un aspecto importante que se ha cumplido por lo menos con nuestros proveedores y estamos muy contentos de ello, que es que la calidad ha sido para nosotros un origen que es fantástico, porque durante 6 meses al año tenemos un producto con muy poco problema interno. Creo que hay una diferencia importante con el resto de países y productores y que compiten, y yo creo que Perú en Europa ha conseguido ponerse en cabeza del aprovisionamiento de aguacate en toda Europa. Sí es verdad que la crisis, la guerra, la situación, el COVID, bueno, pues hay una crisis de consumo y todo ello ha llevado a unos precios quizás complicados, unidos a una gran producción por parte de Perú, y ese afán de querer aguantar en la medida de lo posible, pues quizá ha llevado como consecuencia unos tamaños demasiado grandes incluso para España, porque calibres 10 y 12 se han manejado aquí en España bastante cantidad, pero al final el consumidor tiene que adaptarse a lo que hay, y con promociones y con esfuerzo, y yo resumiría la campaña como una campaña exitosa en calidad, complicada a nivel de precios.
Muchas gracias, Juan Antonio. Ahora, Graham, no sé si nos podrías ilustrar con algunos comentarios de los retos que has visto tú de la campaña peruana.
Yeah, absolutely. And from a Westfalia perspective, I echo exactly the same comments as Adriel and Juan Antonio. The position for us is, I think in general, the overall quality, as was mentioned, was very good. I would just bring it back to the early season Peruvian supply, which coupled with the extension of the Spanish and Israeli supply, very often, and this isn't just in 2022 that we saw it in previous years, whereby you have very good Spanish and Israeli fruit, mature, very good eating quality, and as a consumer, they want that extension and that to continue. The key there was the quality at the beginning of the season. We did see some quality where there were some dips in that, and as a consumer we saw that reduction, but that very quickly then was rectified as we saw that going into mid and late season fruit. Again, really just to echo a number of points, and that's why it's always very difficult going last. But really just to echo the sizing. In the UK, the sizing is very much centered around programmed fruit, programmed calibers. That tended to focus more on the larger sizes towards mid and end season. So we'll come on to that later on, but it is very key that when we look at that going forward, the communication to actually ensure that what fruit is available, we have the possibility to ensure it's there as soon as possible, well communicated, well planned to take us forward. But in general, it went very well.
Perfecto, muchas gracias por sus comentarios. Ahora, también quisiéramos comentar, saber de ustedes qué es lo que consideran que debe hacer la industria peruana para para mejorar su presencia en el mercado, ¿qué es lo que ustedes sugerirían, una necesidad urgente de la industria peruana de la palta en Europa, que se debe hacer, que recomienden ustedes algunas acciones?
Bien, yo opino que personalmente, y creo que, bueno, que ya aquí el amigo Graham nos ha insinuado algo del tema, es muy importante la primera impresión. Los inicios de campaña son lo que veo más complicado por parte de los ciertos problemas que se pueden tener por la materia seca baja, y es muy importante cuidar ese aspecto. Yo sé que por parte de PROHASS y del gobierno peruano tenéis un plan de control de materia seca, pero es muy importante que se empiece cuando verdaderamente la fruta pueda estar bien y el consumidor perciba que el producto está perfecto. En el momento en que el aguacate llega, como algunos años ha llegado al principio, con baja materia seca, algún exportador un poco alocado o algún importador que lo ha animado con precios de loco, eso es lo que más daño le hace a la industria, pienso yo.
Sorry, I just had to do the usual and unmute, which was on, but very much the early season, and this is not really an average of a required dry matter. We need everything to be up above to ensure that the perceived quality by the consumer is driven forward. I've really also included from my position within quality the perception within the social and quality control aspect. Now, this is a very important area for us from a Westfalia Fruit position in the UK. It is something that is becoming very much more talked about from the retail perception. The auditing requirements, making sure that the product is safe, that coupled with everything right back to base is absolutely key. And very much so, I know the audience is very concerned on that in terms of making sure that what they deliver into Europe meets all the criteria. I know the criticism back from the growers that are in the audience will be there's so many different audit requirements, so many requirements on social. Now I know I'm going slightly off on a tangent because you're talking about the quality, but I think that comes in for the overall process. But it is absolutely key that coupled with the quality, we actually ensure that the requirements from a technical position is covered before that fruit is shipped.
Adri, what are your comments?
Yes. Yes, thank you. Yeah, the translation goes a little bit less quick, but it's all going to be fine. Well, I think in a general way, we applaud the quality of Peru. I think that is something that Juan Antonio also said. I think that is really good. We see a difference between the mainlands, the highlands, and the lower lands. I think that's bigger farms. There's more consistency in quality from that. I think there needs a little bit better management of the higher lands fruit in a general way. And I think also that comes when the higher land comes into production a bit earlier and it's a little bit less managed as the main point. It might just also bring that little bit lower dry matter. I think that is in connection towards each other. I think also what's very important is if you look into the size point, we just mentioned it as an improvement point. I think this is also the fact of looking into, because some of the quality came into the first point as well, looking into this perspective of having the right sizes go to the right places to get the best balance out of the whole crop. And that you need different markets as well to really make that balance. I know that looking into the Peruvian product and you look into the ripening that we do in Europe, as we do it differently than the US is used to, because people might say, well, it's a difficult product to ripen. We love the Peruvian product because of the consistency. I think if you look into the US market, they just don't know how to handle the best of Peruvian fruit. I think that is a challenge on its own. But the quality of the Peru is very nice. I think better management of the smaller farms in the highlands and looking, of course, at the dry matter, I think that's very important. We have seen a very consistent season in quality and very grateful for that.
Gracias por sus comentarios. Una pregunta que creo que está en la mente de todos y es difícil de contestar, pero ¿cuáles son las perspectivas que ven ustedes para la campaña 2023 para la palta peruana?
Should I start with that on where we are? If we look at it, and I look at it from a consumer perception and a consumer position, Westfalia Fruit, from the volumes that we supply into the UK retailers, it's all about the consumer and it's all about the supplier. It's bringing the two together. However, from a consumer perspective, the key is to make sure that when that consumer takes the product home, when they buy that product, they take it home, they eat it, they are happy. They love it and they want to come back for more. Now, I think it's been mentioned generally from Peru, from everywhere really, everyone has done that, and that is where we've seen a lot of the success in the growth in avocados, which is fantastic news. For us, and I think this is where we started from the beginning, was the volumes coming out of Peru. We know that as we approach the summer season, which is the great time to sell avocado in Europe, the key is making sure that we can manage those volumes and sell the best volume, the best price at the best time. Particularly in the UK, and I don't think I need to mention anything about the challenges that the UK themselves have faced, even in the last few weeks. But going forward, the key that we are trying to resolve with the retailers is the cost of living. The cost of living, as they call it, the crisis within that, is going to have an impact on the product that customers and consumers pick up. So it is imperative that the communication all round within the whole industry is actually there and well ahead of time to ensure that those volumes that we know is increasing from Peru even for next year, we're able to manage those volumes in the most effective way.
Sorry. I think if you look into what you say, Graham, I think you're completely right that there's a lot going on in the world and definitely also in Europe. There's a couple of things that have been very complicating. Also looking into that was logistics, of course, that have been very disruptive. We had delays, difficulties. I think in a certain way we will hopefully see a little bit lower pricing, a little bit less stress on the logistics next year. That would be fantastic. What we do see is a dollar that doesn't really help us. So we also see a difficulty in cost increase that we have because of the dollar, because if we sell at the euro and want to give a dollar back, it's a 20% difference in price. That's lower even though we sell at the same price. Besides that, there's an inflation going on because of the cost on energy after the war. So consumption is where the customer, is it going to be okay? And in a certain way, I think I'm stuck. I wasn't moving, I think. I'm so sorry. Do you hear me? Okay, great. So I think in that certain way, consumption have not been rising for the last 2 years. So because of Corona, we were not able to promote the products the way that we actually probably should have had. So it's very important to start having the consumers to eat more because the production is there. But we need more consumption to make sure that we can create that point. So consistent quality Peru has, enough product Peru has as well. There's more coming into production, but we need to get our consumption up because with a penetration in the market of 40%, what we have seen is that we have a lot more consumers to reach. And that's something we can do as the whole industry. And that's super important to be able to be in store, get the first one sold. So we need to promote and we need to be in stores to have new consumers also coming into place. I know UK has a bit of a higher penetration than the rest of Europe has, but I think in a certain way that's super necessary. What we also hope is a more flat out possibility. There is going to be less product from the early season, so we do see that as an opportunity for Peru to come in again and don't see the difficulty that they saw this year. So next year will look as a good year also for Peru to have the earlier fruit coming, without a doubt. Of course, sizing, try to balance it. That's the best possible ways. There is and if it's different, communicate on time so that we can handle it the best possible way in these markets that we all contribute to in this screen. So great opportunity. Peru still has a wonderful future. Consumption will go up. We just had a little bit of a hiccup in consumption here in Europe because of Corona and where we are now. Next year will be recession. Let's see that we can keep promoting the product as being a healthy product and having a great opportunity. Don't forget, because all the costs went up, to be taking care of your social side and all the certifications. Make sure that we hold on to each other and everything that's needed to make sure that we have a bright future.
Gracias. Juan Antonio.
Juan Carlos Paredes ha dado la pista muy importante. Hablamos de un consumo en Europa estimado medio de 2 kilos per cápita. Hablamos del consumo de Estados Unidos de 4. Hablamos que la costa oeste, California, está en 8. Es decir, yo creo que el trabajo que tenemos aquí en Europa es impresionante. Aquí yo creo que se plantean dos cuestiones: precio y volumen. Ese es el quid de la cuestión. Ahí es donde hay que manejar muy bien todo, porque ya sabemos que el mercado, una cierta escasez como ahora mismo en el mercado de aguacate, pues conlleva una subida del orden del 10-15% en una semana y el 20-30% en la siguiente, y los precios se disparan. ¿Cómo adaptar ese volumen, esa fuerza de Perú a un consumo como hay en Europa, que todavía está creciendo y que tiene que seguir creciendo obligatoriamente? Y el objetivo de empresas como Natur o como Westfalia, como la mía, pues es intentar de que el consumidor tenga un buen producto y que sea adicto al aguacate y que vaya consumiendo cada día más aguacate. Tenemos que mirar por eso. Nos encontramos con retos como este año, que han sido, aparte de la dificultad en sí de manejar más volumen, el desastre logístico que hemos tenido, el aumento de los costos, la guerra. O sea, son muchos factores que han hecho del 2022 un año complicado. Sin embargo, todos salimos airosos de él, y yo creo que el 2023 nos tiene que traer buenas noticias y buenas alegrías. Así que ánimo y vamos.